Episode 41, Fractured Infiltration. The ancient time chamber became their war room. Anya, fueled by a renewed sense of purpose, pored over the fragmented inscription, deciphering the cryptic symbols and translating the archaic language. Corvus, with his knowledge of Umbra rituals, helped identify the missing artifacts: an ornately carved chronometer, a vial filled with shimmering temporal sand, and a ceremonial dagger imbued with dark energy. The air crackled with nervous energy as they devised their plan. Infiltrating the heart of the Umbra Temple, a labyrinthine complex rumoured to house countless dark secrets, was a near-suicidal mission. "We need a distraction," Alex said, his voice low. "Something big enough to draw the Order's attention away from the time chamber." Sarah, her eyes gleaming with a newfound determination, stepped forward. "I might have an idea," she explained, a daring plan, utilizing her knowledge of the city's hidden passages and the Umbra Order's fanaticism. It was risky, bordering on reckless, but it offered their only chance. As dawn painted the sky with streaks of orange and purple, they put their plan into action. Sarah, disguised in a stolen Umbra robe, infiltrated a nearby training ground. With a carefully crafted message, she ignited a spark of rebellion within a disillusioned acolyte, sparking chaos within the temple walls. The distraction worked. Alarms blared, screams echoed through the halls, and cloaked figures scrambled to contain the uprising. Seizing the opportunity, Alex, Anya, and Corvus materialized at the temple's entrance, cloaked in shadows and bristling with nervous anticipation. Their journey through the temple was a perilous dance of light and shadow. They navigated labyrinthine corridors, their senses on high alert. The air hung heavy with the stench of incense and the palpable feeling of dark magic. They encountered patrolling guards, narrowly avoiding detection thanks to Corvus's agility and Anya's quick-thinking illusions. Each step deeper into the temple's heart brought them closer to their goal, but also closer to the ever-present risk of discovery. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they reached their destination, a heavily guarded vault rumoured to house the Order's most prized artifacts. The door, a massive slab of obsidian inlaid with glowing runes, seemed to thrum with a dark energy. Anya, drawing from the wisdom of the ancient book, deciphered the rune sequence, her hands trembling as she traced the symbols with a sharp stone. The door hummed, the runes flaring momentarily before sliding open with a hiss, revealing a dimly lit chamber overflowing with ancient artifacts. But before they could enter, a deep voice echoed from the shadows. "So, the fabled protectors have come to steal our treasures." The high priest materialized, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. Alex, his hand tightening around the scepter, braced for a fight. Anya, ever the strategist, stalled for time. "We're not here for your treasures," she declared, her voice deceptively calm. "We're here to stop you from destroying the world," the high priest scoffed. "The world needs to be remade, only then can true order be established." The room crackled with tension. A battle seemed inevitable, but just then, a commotion erupted from the corridor beyond. The distraction Sarah had created was faltering, and the weight of the temple guards was about to fall upon them. "We don't have time for this," Alex growled, his voice laced with a desperate urgency. He lunged past the high priest, Anya and Corvus hot on his heels. A frantic scramble for the artifacts ensued. Alex snatched the ornately carved chronometer, its hands spinning wildly as if reacting to the chaotic temporal energy within the vault. Anya grabbed the vial of shimmering temporal sand, its contents swirling like a miniature temporal vortex. Corvus snagged the ceremonial dagger, its dark energy sending a shiver down his spine. With their quarry secured, they bolted out of the vault, the frustrated roar of the high priest echoing behind them. They weaved through the labyrinthine corridors, the sounds of battle drawing closer with each frantic step. Finally, they reached the chamber housing the time chamber. But to their horror, the entrance was blocked by a squad of elite Umbra guards, their faces twisted with fanaticism. Alex gritted his teeth. They were trapped, the fruits of their daring raid seemingly slipping through their grasp. But just as despair threatened to engulf them, a figure emerged from the shadows, a determined glint in their eyes. It was Sarah, her face bruised and blooded, but her spirit unbroken. She held a small, cylindrical object, a crudely made but surprisingly potent explosive, salvaged from the chaos she had created. "Time to even the odds," she declared, a manic glint in her eyes. With a desperate throw, Sarah hurled the explosive device into the midst of the unsuspecting Umbra guards. The detonation echoed through the chamber, a blinding flash followed by a deafening roar. Dust and debris rained down as the guards were thrown back, their ranks momentarily broken. Seizing the opportunity, Alex and his companions surged forward. Anya used an illusion to momentarily confuse the remaining guards, creating a narrow window for escape. They sprinted towards the time chamber, the throbbing chronometer in Alex's hand acting as their guide. Reaching the entrance, they fumbled with the recovered artifacts, desperately trying to activate the chamber. Anya, her voice strained, deciphered the final lines of the inscription, "The chronometer. It needs to be set to the coordinates of our original time." Alex, his fingers shaking, adjusted the chronometer's hands, aligning them with the coordinates they had painstakingly memorized before their journey. He then poured the shimmering temporal sand from the vial onto the activation panel, the sand swirling with an otherworldly glow. Corvus, holding his breath, plunged the ceremonial dagger into a designated slot. The chamber pulsed with an intense energy, the air crackling and the walls shimmering. A blinding white light engulfed them as the time chamber whirred to life. Just as the light reached its peak, a figure emerged from the smoke and dust, the high priest, his face contorted with rage. He lunged at them, a dark energy crackling around his hand. But it was too late, the activation sequence was complete. The time chamber pulsed violently, then with a deafening whine, it ripped open a swirling vortex, a gateway back to their own time. Alex grabbed Anya and Sarah, pulling them towards the vortex. Corvus, ever the pragmatist, hesitated for a moment, his gaze flickering between them and the enraged high priest. "Go," he shouted, his voice barely audible over the thrumming energy. "I'll hold him off." Alex didn't need to be told twice. With a final look of gratitude at his friend, he propelled himself and his companions through the swirling vortex. The world dissolved into a chaotic kaleidoscope of colors and fragmented images, then, just as abruptly, it solidified. They found themselves sprawled on the cold, damp stone floor of the library archives, the familiar scent of old books filling their nostrils. They were back, but the victory felt hollow. Corvus, their loyal friend and invaluable ally, was left behind. Anya scrambled to her feet, tears welling up in her eyes. Sarah slumped against the wall, her face pale and drawn. Alex stared at the swirling vortex, which was now slowly fading, a sense of grief and uncertainty gnawing at him. Had they truly won, or had they simply delayed the inevitable? The fate of the world still hung in the balance, and Corvus's sacrifice weighed heavily on their hearts. As they picked themselves up, the weight of their ordeal settling upon them, a chilling realization dawned on Alex. The battle for the fractured world was far from over. They had returned, but the enemy hadn't been vanquished. With a newfound resolve, tinged with a deep sense of loss, Alex turned to Anya and Sarah. They had a story to tell, a warning to deliver. The Umbra Order hadn't been defeated, merely thwarted. The fight to preserve the world, fractured as it may be, had just begun. The weight of their experience settled heavily on them as they emerged from the library archives. Sunlight streamed through the dusty windows, a stark contrast to the desolate landscape of the Kron wastes. Yet, the warmth offered little comfort. Corvus's sacrifice hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the price of their escape. Anya, her voice thick with emotion, suggested informing the authorities about the Umbra Order and their plans for the tears of Kronos. But Alex, his mind already racing with strategies, knew the official channels would be slow and bureaucratic. They needed a more immediate plan. "We can't rely on the authorities," he declared, his voice firm despite the tremor in his heart. "We need to find a way to warn the magical community, to prepare them for what's coming." Sarah, ever the resourceful one, chimed in. "The Academy Library might have some resources. Ancient texts on the tears of Kronos, maybe even ways to counter the Umbra Order's rituals." A flicker of hope sparked in Alex's eyes. The Academy, a hidden institute dedicated to the study of magic, might hold the key to their next move. But reaching them wouldn't be easy. The Academy was shrouded in secrecy, its location known only to a select few. I know someone who might be able to help, Anya offered, a hint of determination in her voice. A friend from my past, someone who walks the fringes of the magical world. Someone with unconventional methods. Intrigue flickered in Alex's eyes. Unconventional methods were exactly what they needed. Anya explained her plan, a daring scheme that involved navigating hidden alleyways, cryptic messages, and a healthy dose of trust in a not-so-reputable source. As night painted the sky with streaks of inky blue, they found themselves in a bustling marketplace, a far cry from the sterile halls of the library. Anya led them through a labyrinth of narrow cobbled streets, their senses on high alert. Finally, they reached a dimly lit tavern, the air thick with the smell of ale and stale tobacco smoke. Anya pointed towards a hooded figure huddled in a corner booth, their face obscured by shadow. A shiver ran down Alex's spine as they approached. This was their contact, their bridge to the hidden world of the Academy, and, potentially, their only hope of stopping the fractured world from unraveling entirely. The figure lifted their hood, revealing a face etched with experience and a hint of mischief. A sardonic smile played on their lips. "Oh, Anya," they drawled, their voice raspy. "Back so soon? And who are your companions?" Alex straightened his back, the scepter feeling reassuringly heavy in his hand. "We need your help," he declared, his voice firm. "The world is at stake." The figure leaned forward, their gaze piercing through the shadows. Alex felt a strange energy emanate from them, a sense of power held in check. "Intriguing," they chuckled, a hint of amusement in their voice. "Tell me your story." As Alex recounted their harrowing journey through the Kron wastes, the tears of Kronos, and their desperate escape from the Umbra Order, a flicker of concern crossed the figure's face. When he finished, a heavy silence descended upon the tavern. Finally, the figure broke the silence. "A lot to unpack," they mused, stroking their chin thoughtfully. "But if what you say is true, then the future looks bleak indeed." Anya leaned forward, her voice filled with urgency. "Can you help us? Can you get us to the Academy?" "We need to warn them." The figures steepled their fingers, their gaze fixed on some unseen point in the distance. A long moment passed, filled with a heavy tension. Then, a hint of a smile reappeared on their lips. "Perhaps," they drawled, their voice laced with a hint of mischief. "But first, you'll need to pay my price." Alex's heart pounded in his chest. They were desperate, but what price would this enigmatic figure demand in exchange for their aid? The fate of the world hung in the balance, and they were about to embark on another perilous journey, one that would lead them into the heart of the hidden magical community and potentially unlock the secrets needed to mend the fractured world. Episode 42, Whispers in the Academy. The dimly lit tavern buzzed with the muffled conversations of patrons, the air thick with the scent of ale and roasted meat. Alex, Anya, and Sarah sat across from their enigmatic contact, their gazes fixed on the figure shrouded in shadow. The silence stretched, thick with tension. "What is your price?" Alex finally asked, his voice firm despite the knot of anxiety twisting in his stomach. The figure chuckled, a dry rasping sound that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. "Not gold, my friends," they drawled, their voice laced with amusement. "Knowledge is my currency. Tell me, what is the most valuable piece of magical lore you possess?" Something the Academy wouldn't readily share. Anya and Sarah exchanged nervous glances. Their knowledge of magic was limited to the ancient book and the fragmented rituals they had encountered. Alex, however, remembered the cryptic message whispered by the dying librarian, a fragment about a hidden chamber within the library archives, a chamber rumored to hold a forgotten relic, the chronoshift amulet. "There's a legend," Alex began, his voice low, "about a hidden chamber within the library archives. It's said to contain the chronoshift amulet, an artifact with the power to..." He hesitated, unsure of the amulet's true capabilities. The librarian's message had been incomplete. The figure leaned forward, their shadowed eyes glinting with interest. Episode 43, Alex recounted the fragmented legend, the whispers of time manipulation, and the potential dangers associated with the amulet. As he finished, the figure steepled their fingers, a thoughtful frown etching itself onto their obscured face. "Intriguing," they murmured. "The chronoshift amulet, a forgotten relic indeed. If it truly exists, it could be of immense value." They paused, their gaze flickering between Alex, Anya, and Sarah. Finally, a sly smile spread across their lips. A deal then, they declared, their voice laced with a hint of mischief. You share your knowledge of the chronoshift amulet, and I'll grant you passage to the Academy. But heed my warning, the Academy is a labyrinth of knowledge and secrets. Tread carefully, for not all who enter leave unscathed. A wave of relief washed over Alex. They had their way in, but a new challenge loomed. Navigating the secretive Academy, a place where knowledge held a higher value than gold, wouldn't be easy. The enigmatic figure provided them with a cryptic map, its parchment aged and its markings barely discernible. Follow this, they instructed, their voice barely a whisper. It will lead you to a hidden portal within the city, a gateway to the Academy grounds. With a final, enigmatic smile, the figure melted back into the shadows, leaving Alex, Anya, and Sarah alone in the dimly lit tavern. The weight of their newfound knowledge, and the uncertainty of what awaited them at the Academy, settled heavily on their shoulders. The following morning, they set out, the cryptic map clutched tightly in Alex's hand. They navigated bustling marketplaces, traversed deserted alleyways, and deciphered hidden symbols etched onto crumbling walls. Their journey was a test of observation and deduction, a testament to their newfound bond forged in the fires of shared peril. Finally, after hours of following the map's cryptic instructions, they arrived at their destination, a seemingly unremarkable courtyard tucked away in a forgotten corner of the city. In the center of the courtyard stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches reaching towards the sky like gnarled fingers. Anya, ever the scholar, recognized the tree from a forgotten inscription, the guardian of passage. Following the instructions on the map, they placed their hands on the rough bark, a surge of energy coursing through their veins. The air shimmered, and a swirling portal materialized within the hollow trunk of the ancient oak. A wave of cool air washed over them, carrying with it the scent of aged parchment and arcane magic. With a shared look of determination, they stepped through the portal, leaving behind the familiar world and entering the hidden sanctum of the Academy. The portal deposited them in a vast library, an endless expanse of towering bookshelves, crammed with leather-bound tomes emitting a faint magical glow. The air crackled with a sense of untapped power, an overwhelming feeling of knowledge held captive within the countless volumes. As they ventured deeper into the library, hushed whispers filled the air, emanating from cloaked figures gliding silently between the towering shelves. These were the scholars of the Academy, their faces etched with an air of detached wisdom. Anya, her voice barely a whisper, asked, "How do we find the information we need? This place is overwhelming." Alex scanned the library, his gaze falling on a central dais where an elderly woman stood, her silver hair pulled back in a tight bun, radiating an aura of quiet authority. She wore long, flowing robes adorned with intricate symbols that seemed to shimmer faintly in the magical light. This, Alex instinctively knew, was someone of immense power and knowledge. "Perhaps," he murmured, a spark of hope igniting in his chest, "we should start by asking the head librarian." With a shared nod, they approached the dais. As they drew closer, the whispers in the library seemed to fade, replaced by a respectful silence. The head librarian, her gaze sharp and intelligent, looked down at them with an unreadable expression. "Welcome," she said, her voice surprisingly warm despite its commanding tone. "You seem out of place here. May I inquire about your business?" Alex, his voice firm despite the weight of their situation, explained their predicament, their journey through the Kron wastes, the threat posed by the Umbra Order and the tears of Kronos, and their desperate need for information about the artifact they had inadvertently revealed, the chronoshift amulet. The head librarian listened intently, her expression unreadable. When Alex finished, a long silence descended upon the library. Finally, she spoke, her voice laced with a hint of skepticism. "The chronoshift amulet," she murmured, the weight of the name hanging heavy in the air. "A legend whispered only in the most ancient texts. An artifact said to possess the power to manipulate time itself. But such power comes at a steep price." A flicker of hope flickered in Sarah's eyes. "That's why we need your help," she pleaded. "We need to know more about it, how it works, and if it can be used to stop the Umbra Order." The head librarian stroked her chin thoughtfully, her gaze flickering between them. "The knowledge you seek resides within these walls," she declared, gesturing towards the endless expanse of bookshelves. But knowledge does not come freely. You must prove yourselves worthy. Intrigue washed over Alex. What kind of test? The head librarian smiled faintly, a hint of amusement flickering in her eyes. There are whispers within the library, she began, her voice dropping to a low murmur, of a hidden chamber, a repository of forbidden lore. Find it, and within it, you will find what you seek. But be warned, the path is fraught with danger, and the consequences for failure are severe. Anya's brow furrowed, a hidden chamber. But how? The head librarian held up a hand, silencing her. The answers lie within the books themselves, she declared. Decipher the riddles, follow the hidden clues, and perhaps, just perhaps, you will unlock the secrets you seek. With a final enigmatic smile, the head librarian turned away, leaving them standing amidst the towering shelves, the weight of the challenge settling heavily upon them. The academy offered them a chance, but it was a chance shrouded in riddles and hidden dangers.